never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, beautiful, wonderful people. How are you? I hope your Tuesday has been all right. If you're up in Central Australia, hope you're not swimming. Bloody wet. A lot of water on the ground, particularly through the Northern Territory and in western parts of Queensland, and I guess into northern parts of South Australia. If it's not there yet, it will be coming. The Flinders Ranges, I did see actually some amazing pictures. So I hope Wayno in Wilmo is doing all right, and we haven't washed away the park just yet, because God knows we all want to head off there and have a bit of a celebration later this year. So hopefully everything is all right there. I'll give Wayne a call and we'll catch up on that in the not too distant future. Trusting you are all very, very well. And thank you to Aussie Sue, who always remembers to remind us to stick your thumb on the show, folks. Like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And please share it around, particularly last night's program. We'll have a little bit more on that this evening too. What the first in the house tonight, mate? Hope you are doing well. Got to be happy with the price of silver today. It's gone for a bit of a kick, I say, because Greg, and I know Greg tends to watch it like I do. This morning when the markets opened, there was an immediate lift, which has made a big change from everything I've seen with the markets for the last couple of weeks. It hasn't opened with a lift, even when expected to. It has gapped down, if anything. Well, this morning it gapped up, and it gapped up significantly. Currently, we're sitting at just under $126 an ounce for silver. And in the US, or US dollars, gold is up to just under 5,200. It's 5,185. It hit 5,200 US last night, then dropped back again to pretty much flat 5,000. Oil has been the interesting one. We were all expecting oil, and it did, to hit $120 a barrel yesterday. And then what did our petrol companies do? Shoved it as far up as they possibly can. We'll get on to that. Anyway, this morning, if you woke up and checked the oil prices, you would have found that they would drop down to $80 a barrel again. So went up to 120 and then back to 80 by this morning. But the petrol prices still ramming it deeply into us. These bloody thieves. Now, there's been a lot of talk today about how Australia's fuel security is okay. You know, we have supply coming. The simple fact is that people have got excited and gone to the pumps earlier or sooner than they normally would to fill up, and it is a distribution problem rather than a supply problem. At least that is what the government would have you believe. And look, it is highly possible that that is the case. I would argue that it isn't the people causing panic buying. It is the fuel companies, because we have been conditioned for so long that if for some reason somebody walks with an open flame near an oil well somewhere, the price of fuel in the Middle East, or price of oil in the Middle East, goes up, and our prices go through the roof instantly. I think what people were trying to do was to get in and fill their cars up before the profiteering of the fuel companies took place. And it can only be profiteering that the fuel companies are doing at the moment, because all the fuel in their stores has been in Australia for a little while. It has been on the boats where we paid for it before it got on the boat. It's been coming to Australia, our fuel. It's still coming to Australia, our fuel, already paid for, but they get it into their little storage holdings on each of their petrol sites. And what do? They take the opportunity to bend the Australian public over again. And then the government comes out and says, we're the problem for panic buying. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Now, today, the federal government have come out and said, oh, we are giving the ACCC more powers to crack down on these bloody people who are, taking advantage of Australians with the price of fuel. They increased the fines to $50 million. Bastards will make that in 2 days. Why on earth would they think a fine would matter? When will this government get serious and give the ACCC, who I don't think are serious in the slightest, give them some real power to make arrests, to force criminal charges against boards and managing directors of fuel companies that propagate profiteering off the people? Have them stand up and itemize exactly how fuel managed to go up 40 cents a litre in 2 days. And if they can't, throw the fuckers in jail. And I don't care if you've got to go to America to go and get the head of Shell, got to go to the UK to get the head of BP. I don't care where you've got to go to get them. Bring their Australian representatives to face a people's court. Charge them with the profiteering that they are doing. It's disgusting. And yes, we don't help ourselves because we know they're going to do it to us. And we are by nature, I suppose, greedy people. We don't want to miss out. So we will go and get our fuel. And we need it. God knows the farmers need it. They need fertilizer. They need fuel. Because without those two things, and a third one, seed, we don't eat. But the mining companies, they're putting in 200,000 litre fuel tanks, not one or two of them. They're putting in fuel farms to prepare for this. But is there any real need to prepare for it? Well, I'm not completely sure, because if we have a look at this map, and I've finally figured out how to drive this map, which will make it a little bit easier to understand. I've removed all other shipping from this map. The only shipping you are seeing here is bulk fuel carriers, bulk crude oil carriers, anything that carries petrol or diesel traveling around Australia at the moment. Now, I can click on any one of these things, and if they're, trust me to pick on one that's not in satellite coverage, these things will tell you where they're going, right? So this boat is going to be in Geelong very shortly on the 12th. So another couple of days, it'll be in Geelong, offloading there. There's one coming out of Victoria, which is heading up to Brisbane, and it's expected to be up there in a couple of days. Out of Brisbane, we've got this one will be heading out and going back to get refueled. So it has dropped in Brisbane. Here is one I would say is coming on its way. Oh, no, that one's heading into Melbourne. So that'll be dropping fuel down there in a few days' time. There are multiple boats in multiple places around Australia, as you can see, that are doing fuel drops. And if we scroll out, you will see there is no end of fuel cargo vessels all around the world moving fuel. 5% of the world's fuel, or 5% of the world's oil, comes out of the Straits of Hormuz, has to go through it. We are seeing a very slight increase in the traffic in the Straits of Hormuz. However, we are likely to be seeing, supposedly, some more greater movements there based on this letter. Now, this came out a few days ago. Effective immediately, I have ordered the United States Development Finance Corporation to provide, at a very reasonable price, political risk insurance and guarantees for the financial security of all maritime trade, especially energy traveling through the Gulf. This will be available to all shipping lines. If necessary, the United States Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Straits of Hormuz as soon as possible. No matter what, the United States will ensure the free flow of energy to the world. The United States' economic and military might is the greatest on earth, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Very difficult for the Americans to start escorting tankers through the Straits of Hormuz at the moment because the only vessels that they have in the area are predominantly engaged in protecting the USS Abraham Lincoln. And if they were to take one or two or three of the vessels away that are protecting the Abraham Lincoln, they would leave her at considerable risk. So they will not be using any of those ships to escort anything through the Straits of Hormuz. That means they necessarily have to relocate ships from wherever in the world to that part of the world and start escorting these tankers through. Iran has made a counteroffer. Iran has made an offer to any nation that decides to throw out the political representatives of America and Israel, has offered them free passage and all the safety under the sun into and out of the Straits of Hormuz to get whatever energy they would like. The only thing is they want you to kick or close the embassies of America and Israel in those countries. Nobody has leapt to help them with that particular ask just yet, but I might also add, and you can see it right here, there is not a lot of shipping going through the Strait of Hormuz. And all of this stuff around here is just at anchor. It is simply waiting. A lot of this out here is waiting. It's going nowhere. There is a fairly steady track from Mumbai into this area. Pakistan have been quite worried too that they are going to be suffering some oil infrastructure problems. So they have decided that they are going to offer up their navy to help escort ships through there as well. That'll put America and Pakistan on the same side, which, if you listen to the Yanks, they supposedly have been for some time. But I think we're in for a little wait yet before we see the free flow of traffic through the Straits of Hormuz. But it is happening. And in all of that, I'll scroll it back out, and I haven't been through every one of these red dots to find out which ones are currently heading to Australia, but there will be some of them heading to Australia, and they will probably be coming out through here, around here, if I can look, other side of Indonesia maybe. There is a lot of stuff coming from Indonesia, and of course, I should be able to find Singapore if I was half smart, but there will be a lot of shipping coming out of there too. Our fuel predominantly at the moment is coming from Singapore, and there is some coming from Malaysia, I'm told. So a lot of boats still around the country. In fact, there's probably over 20 of them. Some of them are empty and heading out. Some of them are LPG ships, but the vast majority of them are fuel carriers. We don't have any of the big super tankers here, but we do have quite a lot of very large tankers. So supply should not be a problem. Why then are we paying $1? Well, somebody went through Toowoomba today. They'd heard terrible stories about the price of fuel there. Amplify 98, $2.43. Diesel, $2.34.9. The next servo along, I can't read that, one's too far away. There was one servo that didn't have any diesel. That was late this afternoon. And this Ampol was, well, a little bit cheaper than quite a few of the others that were floating around in Toowoomba. So the prices are still up there, and the profiteering is genuinely happening. And it's happening in the independently owned servos as well. I've seen fuel prices at Metro service stations and the like go through the roof. I've also found how some of these independent service station networks are actually supplied their fuel. And they essentially have to bid for it. If there is fuel left on the boat, or there is too much to be going into the storage facility, let's say at Mackay, then they will ring around and offer a deal to these independent service networks, who then have to get trucks in very quickly to take whatever fuel they can, and then they spread that through their networks. It's really interesting. And that's just how it works out of Mackay. I'm not saying it works that way all over the country, but it was interesting to learn how the fuel companies are constantly looking to sell what is in their hold. If they top up everything here in Australia, for instance, and there's still fuel in their hold, they want to sell it to independent people, and they will go to the mines, they will go to wherever to sell it. So, and the mines, you must understand, and probably big farming concerns, and I mean really big farming concerns, they're not paying $2.43 for a litre of diesel. They're paying maybe $1.30. So, because they're buying so much of it, they have large storage, huge amounts of storage. So, a lot of people in metropolitan areas have also decided they want to have a large storage. Bunnings are sold out of jerry cans, apparently. And now the Insurance Council of Australia has come out and issued a warning to everybody who has gone out and filled up everything from wheelie bins to IBCs to jerry cans full of fuel, in the vain hope that they'll be able to protect themselves from, anything that's coming down the road. The Insurance Council of Australia has made it very clear to any policy holder that if you have changed the risk profile of your home in any way, you are obligated to tell them immediately. And if you are storing excessive amounts, and I would say anything more than probably 10 or 20 litres of fuel they would deem excessive, if you are storing any more of that in your suburban dwelling, you are not going to be insured should you have your electric car burst into fire and set your house aflame. Why were you carrying all that fuel if you have an electric car? Because I know most people with an electric car have one that actually takes real fuel so they can get where they need to go on a long-distance drive. However, there might be those who just have the one and have no need for petrol at all. Well, good luck to them. You better hope that your neighbour in the townhouse beside you has an electric car as well and hasn't gone and put 200 litres of petrol up against your shared wall. Could get very nasty. So now we'll have neighbours looking over neighbours' fences to say, oh, you're putting me at risk. You've got too much petrol in your yard. So keep an eye out, folks. If you have stockpiled, there are insurance company folks wandering around taking a look, and you've probably got neighbours who are going to be a little bit concerned. If those neighbours are, part of the group of new Australians that have come here looking for a big, bright new future, and they've never experienced a fuel shortage before in Australia, and there are probably many young people who are scratching their heads and saying, oh, God, this has never happened before. Well, it has. I can remember it happening years and years and years and years and years ago, but it's a long time ago. But Australians always sort it out. Just show them this picture. I think that'll cover it, won't it? I think so. Medbeds. Been an interesting thing pop up on my Telegram feed this morning about medbeds. It says medbeds when to be released. I don't know who Sky is. I'm not sure if it's the Sky that Australians are aware of or if this is another person, but Sky 2 filmed, this is very bad English, maybe written by an alien, be aware. Sky 2 filmed March 23rd for full treatment. On 22nd, she will show Medbed Centre to all of us. Trump and RFK Jr. to make an announcement on mainstream media April 2nd. Sky's treatment to be filmed by Musk Technology and will be posted by Trump on Truth Social, and Musk to release on X live stream of Sky March 23rd and public April 2nd. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's throwing a lot of dates around. Release of medbeds, even if RV has not yet occurred. This is what they're saying. The medbeds are coming, even if the RV has not occurred. Well, the RV might be occurring. In the time we've been talking, silver has gone up over $126. It's $126.20 at the moment. But we've seen this before. Don't go getting too excited, folks. That's my suggestion to you. Don't go getting too excited at all. If there are medbeds coming, the 23rd is the date. They're saying something is going to happen. It's a bit obscure whether or not that's going to be an openly public thing, or we've got to wait till April 2nd for that. Something's going to happen on Twitter. Look, I pray that they do come at the end of this month. There are so many people in dire need. There are so many people who've been hurt, particularly since 2020. There are so many people who have been made suffer so that the elites of this world can get rich and gain their gratification. It has to end. It has to end. And one of the first people that I would be putting up for a med bed is Margie Sedgman and this bloke. 2 people. You know, just to help everybody recover. So say your prayers for the med beds, folks. We need as much help as we can get. We have too many downed Australians through nefarious means. I'm going to leave it at that. And just on Wade and Belinda, can I just say thank you to everybody who's reached out. The post that I put out on Facebook, what may have been a bit strong, I'm not known for my love of hospitals or for the health system. However, be that as it may, people have flocked to offer help in a variety of ways. And I can't thank you all enough. And I have spoken with part of Wade's team today, and they want to express their thanks to you. I would say by the end of the week, maybe we'll have Nick on for a chat. You will have met Nick. He's been Wade's offsider on the road. We'll have Nick on for a chat. He might give us a bit of an update. We'll try and make that happen before the end of this week. And he can give us a bit of an idea of how things are going. I did get an update on Wade today, and there are some encouraging updates. Now, these may have happened before I posted yesterday, so we're not suggesting for a moment that anything I did had anything positive to do with this, but Wade has been moved into a different ward, a rehab ward, which from all accounts has some of the most wonderful people working in it that you're likely to find, who care very deeply for him, and they are working him pretty hard. In fact, today I learned that he's probably doing multiple hours a day, and the rehab that he is getting is being extremely beneficial to him, to a point where he's not trapped in that chair. He can get out of it to a point. He can stand, that sort of thing. So the rehab is happening. I think, the team is under a bit of pressure. They're looking for, a little bit of help, maybe with things like massaging him and keeping the blood flowing and all that. I learned a very interesting thing today about the boot that Wade is wearing, which you may have seen in his birthday pictures. I thought he might have hurt his leg or something when he fell down, but no, that's there to aid in his recovery as well. So there's a lot happening for him, and we should be fairly comfortable in the knowledge that while things may have been a bit rocky to begin with, at the moment, the care that he's getting and from the people he's getting it is great. They're really chuffed. We are obviously going to make sure that he's getting the correct nutrition. And look, nobody ever likes hospital food. However, there have been changes, I'm led to believe, in who supplies the food in Victorian hospitals. An ex-cleaning company has got the contract. I've been speaking not to people from that hospital, but generally in the health system, and asking about the meals and, how they turn up, what they're like when they turn up. Are they edible? Are they worth having? And in the most case, people are not saying too much bad about the food. So what it comes down to, particularly with stroke patients, is a diet that by necessity has to include certain brain foods, and in Wade's case has to exclude certain food groups. So it's just a matter of finessing that, and there is a great team involved now, and should Wade find himself in ever need of supplemental eating, thanks to many of your generosity, he will be able to get whatever is required. The team will make sure that he gets it, and Life to the Universe will go on. So I just wanted to thank everybody for your prayers, for your donations if you chose to donate, and for your thoughts. I know that a lot of people have reached out through Wade's phone, through Belinda, and through Nick over the last day or so. They want to, if they haven't got back to you, they just want to pass on their thanks, and that, you know, they're all working pretty hard at the moment. It's important to also know, I know a lot of people want to know where Wade is. It's important at the moment that Wade doesn't get inundated with visitors. One of the major things that stroke victims have to contend with is slowing their minds down. So at the moment, things like mobile phones, even having the television on constantly, can be a real problem. So I don't think that that's going to continue on. Sorry, I've just seen a message from Donna from last night, and I think she sent it to the wrong person, not to me. So at any rate, things going well there, and we are praying for a very quick and speedy recovery. When it comes to going to visit Wade, not just at the moment, too much activity, too much excitement, too much. How do I describe this? There is an element of there is an element of having to put on it's not a show, it's not an act, but you know, people like Wade, people like me, when we meet you in public, we're putting on a smiling face. We're not trying to bring you down in any way, shape, or form. Personalization of ours, it's got nothing to do with you. Wade would feel that he has to, I want to say perform, and that's the wrong word, but that he has to be engaged, that he has to be excited, and you might want to talk about what's going on, and you might feed him information that he's deliberately being kept away from right now, so he doesn't think about it. So please, he doesn't need visitors at the moment. We will let you know when he's up for visitors, and you know where he'll be for that. But right now, visitors are not something that are welcomed. With the greatest of respect, it's just there's a little bit too much going on, and it's a bit hard to manage. So, as long as you can appreciate that, I think we'll all go forward. All right, now there were a couple of videos from last night's show that we alluded to, but I didn't play. Last night's show obviously went on a little bit longer than a normal show, but it was extremely important information. That information from last night's program, along with the program, has been shared I don't know how many times. Thank you to so many of you for doing that. I have also sent it to a number of contacts internationally, and some of them are aware of it. There is some reference, and this is what I'm going to allude to tonight. There has been some reference to a video that I'm going to play you that has been debunked by those in power. Now, the video I'm going to show you may have been debunked by those in power, but we have other videos, other evidence, and in the documents we showed you last night was some of that evidence, and that is the metadata and the dates where these things were all put together. This is very real, and do not be dissuaded. Now, I'm going to play you something here. It'll run, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. You're going to want to listen very carefully to it, because it's going to describe exactly what happens when they started playing with the VMAT2 gene and how it manipulates a person. Have a very close listen to this. This is a Pentagon briefing where the pharmaceutical company or the scientists who are developing this intrusion into the VMAT2 gene program are explaining it to Pentagon members and the CIA.
Excuse me, on the left over here, we have individuals who are religious fundamentalists, religious fanatics, and this is the expression, RT-PCR, real-time PCR expression of the VMAT2 gene. Over here, we have individuals. So let me complete. So over here, we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach.
So
What
you're
you see
here is by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior. So we have some very, very remarkable data in this next slide. Here we have two brain scans. These are fMRIs. These are two different individuals with different levels of expression of VMAT2. On top is an individual who's a religious fanatic, an individual, and we've repeated this numerous times, that has high levels of VMAT2. Now, this individual down here who had low levels of the VMAT2 gene, this individual would self-describe as not particularly religious. In each case, these individuals were read a religious text. This individual lit up the right middle frontal gyrus, shown here, and that's a part of the brain that's associated with theory of mind. It's a part of the brain that has to do with intents and beliefs and desires. In marked contrast, here's an individual who would not particularly self-describe as religious, and when they're read a religious text, what you see is that this part of the brain called the anterior insula lights up. This is a part of the brain that's associated with disgust or displeasure on hearing something.
So you're suggesting I take a CT scan with me when I'm evaluating people to determine whether I put a bullet in their head?
So the data that I'm presenting here supports the concept that we're proposing, and I think that we would not propose to do CT scans or fMRIs on individuals out in the hinterlands of Afghanistan. The virus would immunize against this VMAT2 gene, and that would have the effect that you see here, which is it's essentially to turn a fanatic into a normal person. And we think that will have major effects in the Middle East.
How would you suggest that this is going to be dispersed? Aerosol?
Well, so the present plan and the tests that we've done so far have used respiratory viruses, such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's a satisfactory way to get the exposure of the largest part of the population. Most of us, of course, have been exposed to both of those viruses, and we're quite confident that this will be a very successful approach.
This is fascinating. What's the name of this proposal?
Yeah, so the name of this project is FunVax, which is the vaccine for religious fundamentalism.
And you have a proposal already?
The proposal has just been submitted, and I think that the data that I have shown you today would support the development of this project, and we think it has great promise.
How's that? You might want to go back and have a look at that if you didn't take it all in the first time. FunVax, the fundamentalist vaccine. That's what they're talking about, the fundamentalist vaccine. Now, if you want to go and get all the information, you can slip off to vofhq.com, where Vince worked exceptionally hard this morning after watching the show. He has put up all the documentation. In fact, he's put up last night's show there as well. But if you go to the top of the page, you will be able to download the document that, well, in fact, if you click on the FunVax thing, I think, click on it, there you go. That'll take you into the FunVax document. That's this one at the top is where you can download the document we played last night and went through. And then underneath here, there is a wealth of information for you to do your own research on. If you've got questions, these links will take you to the patents that have been established for the FundVax. And as somebody pointed out in the chat, this has been going on a very, very long time. That briefing happened in 2005. We saw details in the notes last night that the show, that they've been on this since 1997 and working to try and play God with the God gene, which is what the VMAT2 gene is known as, or receptor is known as. Why? Because it takes your emotions, your hormones, the chemical reaction inside your body, and translates that into feelings. And that's what that video was saying, with a fundamentalist religious fanatic who gets read a piece of religious text, and the brain scan shows which bits light up, and I guess the brighter the light, the more danger is seen. They want to dumb that down. Now, I guess back in the day, that may well have been a bit of a plan, but they've also now decided they can dumb down the whole world with it, not just fundamentalists. And that's why this shit is what's being sprayed all over the world. We are inhaling it, and we are dying from respiratory diseases from it. And our doctors are telling lies. Why are we? How do we know we're breathing it?
Okay, so I kind of want to expose some chemtrail truth here. As most of you know, we're selling the plane, so we're not getting paid out anymore. This plane has been certified to use the chemtrail fluid DK5812. And so it holds 50 gallons in each tank here, and then the fuel goes in this one. And then right in the exhaust, just right up here, there's a injector that sprays the fluid when you turn on the switch. And the switch, it won't spray fluid unless the engine's running, because it's like real toxic chemicals. So it needs to make sure like you're in the air. We get paid about $10 a gallon to spray the stuff. And this has a government issued retrofit kit. And you can see down here, they installed this switch. As you can see, it says chemtrails. You just turn it on, and then you just collect money. That's how it works.
How nice is that? Flick the switch, collect money. What do you do? There are people who gratefully accepted that money here in Australia, very gratefully. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get more hours up. I'll be able to go and fly for one of the airlines if I can get a few more hours up. One of the pilots that I inadvertently came across who I believe was doing this wasn't a young man. He was being paid very definitely to do this, and his aircraft was outfitted, and the only flying he was doing was for this reason. And I just happened to bump into him one day when he seemed to be talkative while I was hanging around Archer Field Airport. How weird it can be. But we are being attacked. It's that simple. From the air. And there are significant repercussions, particularly to those who might be a little less unwell, those who might be a little more predisposed to having bronchial problems or sort of chest or respiratory issues. And then there are those who are just kids looking to be vaccinated by their parents because their parents believe they're doing the right thing. Now, those kids aren't being vaccinated from the air. They're being vaccinated by professionals on the ground.
Okay, give me your name.
My name is Silvana Casali. I'm a school neuropsychologist.
And how long have you been working with autistic kids for?
Over 25 years.
And about how many autistic kids have you worked with?
Over 70, over 80.
80?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
And during that time, have you ever noticed any connection between the receipt of a vaccine and autistic behavior beginning?
Yes, definitely. And usually the MMR and the parents see an immediate change in the child.
So right after the MMR shot,
Absolutely.
did they see it after any other shot? Did they see it after the flu shot?
I haven't heard of that, but it's possible that that's the tipping point for some children.
And so but the reaction is immediate. It's not like 6 months later. It is night and day right after the shot.
Immediate.
That's been
And
your experience.
Yes, and parents have video of the child speaking before, and then they lose their language.
Now, does that happen in 100% of the cases, 50% of the cases?
No, it does not happen. A lot
No,
of times.
if it happens, does it always happen immediately? If it happens, is the transition...
My opinion is yes. Some parents may say it was gradual over a month or 2 months, but that might be because they weren't paying attention as much as possible. But the other problem is that the shots are given in conjunction with each other. You go to your well visit, and the pediatricians will give a child 5 or 6 at once, and the toxicity of that is quite intense.
We'll take them over. But the point is that when they succumb to autistic behavior, that change happens almost immediately. What's the fastest it's ever happened?
I think for some families it's happened overnight, next day. The child has a fever many times, they're screaming in pain, and they become nonverbal, they don't respond to their parents, they no longer maintain eye contact.
And so what percentage of these 80 kids over the 30 years you've been doing this, what percentage of those 80 kids would be connected to a vaccine-caused autopsy or autism? Sorry.
I think it's probably all of them. I would say 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm sure you know people who've had just that experience. I know 2 families who've had that very experience where their bright young son, and bright is the word, bright young son, very vocal, very energetic, went in, got jabbed, and has never spoken again. We have to stand up, folks. Like this thing says, have you had enough? Well, how much more are you willing to take? You know, we are waking up more and more every day. I am sure our numbers are growing. And so too is our lack of tolerance. I think I'm seeing many things happening. Lots of celebrities dying. Lots of celebrities announcing they have terminal diseases. Lots of just weird things happening. And then, today, David Littleproud cries and resigns as the leader of the National Party, which apparently had been quite the done deal when the coalition was reformed. Now, apparently, David would just like to go and spend more time with his family and doing all that. And he's a Queensland politician, I think, Maranoa out Roma way. So he looks after Western Queensland. Good luck to him. Who will step up? Who will become the next Nationals leader? Matt Canavan has already thrown his hat in the ring. And I think he did that last time there was a spill as well. There is a woman, Mackenzie, in the Nationals as well. I think she threw her cap in the ring. It'll be interesting to see whether or not there's going to be a bloodbath fight for the leadership or whether or not just easy selection will be made. The question, I guess, for all of us is it actually going to make any difference? Are they going to be any different to us at all? I don't know. Littleproud talked today about One Nation not being able to win 76 seats. Well, I would agree. 76 seats in the upper house is probably a big ask. However, adding another 4 to 6 or 8, well, we wouldn't get 8. They might get 6 into the Senate would be a bit of a bugger. And if they could get the same amount into the House, we might have at least a partial way of keeping the bastards honest. Of course, it would be wonderful to see a new theme leading the country, whether that is One Nation or whether that's Clive Palmer's new shit show, new political party. He's launched something new. I've forgotten exactly. Hang on, I might nearly have it here. Or did I remove it? I've forgotten what he's called it now. I don't know that it was going to be that earth-shatteringly exciting for us all. Anyway, let me just see if I can find Clive. The party is designed, I suppose, to go and help. Everything that he normally does is help the Liberal Party. He does that by defraying the votes and sending preferences their way. I don't think I've got it here. I thought I'd cut out his announcement, but there you go. Let me see if I've got Clive. Yes, I do have Clive. So I'll bring up his statement for you because it's a lengthy one. It goes over 2 pages. So let's bring up page 1. His media release says United Australia Party Chairman Clive Palmer has criticised One Nation leader Pauline Hanson, there's a surprise, saying her refusal to work with the Liberal and National parties highlighted her lack of practical solutions. Mr. Palmer said the reports that Senator Hanson was not interested in joining forces with the coalition at the next federal election showed she remained focused on criticism rather than offering a clear pathway forward for the country. It's understandable why Pauline Hanson would not want to join forces with the coalition, Palmer said. It allows her to stand on the sidelines, criticise everyone else, and offer no solutions to Australia's growing financial and economic problems. I don't know how Clive can say that. Pauline has released a manifesto of 90-odd billion or $1 million worth of changes that the people would wholeheartedly support. All I see here is Clive criticising people and offering nothing, not even a shot of his red shoes. So a little bit concerned. Anyway, Clive seems to think that the major parties are always the way to go. She can't see the problems facing Australia. She has no solutions. She doesn't know how to make things better for Australian families who are struggling with the cost of living and declining prosperity. Well, she's got $90 million worth of ideas, which she has rolled out publicly, and I dare say she has a lot more so than Clive Palmer has offered. Mr. Palmer has also said the United Australia Party would shortly outline its policy agenda aimed at addressing those challenges. Tomorrow, the United Australia Party will launch the New Deal for Australia, which sets out real solutions to the problems our country faces. Of course they do, Clive. The New Deal shows that Australia has enormous opportunities and the capacity to deliver prosperity if we adopt the right policies. Well, there's an enlightening piece of genius from Clive. We adopt the right policies, we can be going good. Well, why are you wanting to help the Liberal Party back into power, the unibrow party? Get out, Clive. Get out. Palmer said that the proposal would focus on freeing Australians from unnecessary economic constraints. Great, you're going to give us a share of the royalties out of your nickel mines, mate? Strengthening domestic industry and creating the conditions for long-term growth. Our objective is to free our people. Crap. Turbocharge the economy. Clive will make money out of that. You and I will be paying $2.40 for a litre of fuel. And provide prosperity for our children who'll be lucky to afford fuel. Mr. Palmer said Australians were increasingly frustrated by what he described as a lack of leadership across the political spectrum. And all you do, Clive, is suck up the majors, you useless piece of shit. Stand up, man. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for the humans in this country. Stand up for the people that don't believe in the uni party, Clive. If you don't, maybe you can make the difference with Pauline. But you will make no difference with the Liberal Labor unibrow party. Pauline Hanson has no plan for Australia. The Liberals have no policies, and the Labor Party is testament to what's wrong with the way this country is being governed. Well, I can agree with most of that. It's time to bring government to account. The New Deal sets out how that can be done. Well, I wait with bated breath, Clive, to see what sort of royalties from your mining interests in this country that you rape out of the land, our sovereign land. I'd love to see how much of that you're going to be given back to us, the people. Don't say I give it back in taxes, because that's stolen from us. I've always wanted to help you, Clive, always wanted to, but you won't help yourself. You continually, like a leech, stay stuck to the uni parties. And you think that's going to make a difference? How long have you been blowing your trumpet of patriots? How long have you been uniting Australia, Clive, and made absolutely fuck all difference? Every time elections come around, you speak big, you spend big, but all you do when you spend big is put a lot of ads on the TV. You don't actually help the people who are joining your party and campaigning on the ground. Now, I know it's probably rude to say give everybody $20,000 and let them go and run their campaigns. I know you did select certain people where you did help them, but you also chose to throw people into markets or into electorates where they had no chance whatsoever. And if they were brave enough to throw their own money into their own campaign, you knew it was a waste of money. That's why you didn't support them with your money. Why did you bother putting them in there, Clive? So they could wave your Trumpet of Patriots flag, your Unite Australia Party, your Palmer United, your whatever you're going to call it this week? I mean, you're as schizophrenic as the rest of them, mate. You can't figure out what to call yourself. You can't stick with it. And I've not seen one friggin' policy in all these years that you could actively get up. I mean, I wish you all the power in the world to grow a fucking brain, see through it, or stop pretending that you're one of us. Because at the moment, I think you've got more of a fight on that level, having us believe that you're one of us. Don't think there's too many more that are going to believe that, mate. We're over it. We're over it. Yeah, Clive would stop his people from talking on topics. You're right there, Crunch. Babbitt said he's not interested in being a politician, never was. No, but now he's speaking absolute truth, that he's unconstrained, if you like, from Clive's input. I think he told Clive he was shoving it up his backside at the end of this term. Babbitt may well be a useful human going forward in this fight, but he's had the life sucked out of him. He's seen the criminality, the coercion, and the abuse that happens in that parliament. And I think it just makes him sick to his stomach. He knows, while he would rally and fight against it, he is but one person, and he's going to lose every time. He's in for a licking every time. Maybe he needs to be supported, Pauline. Maybe he needs to be supported, Clive. Clive, maybe you can get your myopic gaze off the Liberal Party and the pathetic criminal losers that you wish to associate, and maybe show us that you are genuine in trying to give Australia a new start. And right now, the only way you can do that is to throw your support behind Pauline Hanson. Understand you have lost the race to win over Australians, Clive. You've lost the race. If you want to spend millions of dollars and make a difference in the next election, get behind Pauline Hanson and One Nation. Otherwise, you're simply handing money to your Liberal sycophant mates and hoping that you're going to be given a crumb at the table. Be a man, Clive. You called for change. There is a tidal wave of support for one party in this country, whether I like it or not. That gives this country the best chance of change in my living history, and probably yours, Clive. For the first time, we have a genuine opportunity to make a difference. Now, it's up to One Nation and Pauline Hanson whether or not they make that difference. We have to decide whether or not we trust them enough to give them a go. And if you don't trust them enough to give them a go, then you, by default, trust the Liberal Labor Uni Party. Even if you don't vote for them, you trust them to do a better job. Even if you don't vote at all, you trust the Uni Party to do a better job than Pauline Hanson. How could Pauline Hanson do a worse job? I suppose we shouldn't ask that. We could be living in all sorts of trouble. But how could she seriously do a worse job? I don't think she could do enough damage in 4 years. I don't think she'd get 4 years to do the damage, because if you shit on the people after this election, there won't be another election. We will have proved that elections don't work. If the people get behind One Nation and lift them to a point of power in this country, and One Nation jams it up us again, it will prove to this nation of unawakened fools that no amount of voting changes the situation. It just changes the voice telling you they're going to shaft you. It changes the smile while they do it. But it doesn't take the sting away. Maybe, Clive, all your money, all that backing, you and Gina together on one side. Let's see how that could be. Otherwise, piss your fortune up against the wall again. Piss it into the cups of your liberal mates. You're becoming irrelevant. You're more of a joke if you continue with this, Clive, than I ever gave you credit for. I thought you were a much smarter man than this. But maybe your ego's just too involved. Maybe you can't get past your ego, Clive. Maybe you can't. God knows you've been living with it for a while. Maybe it's just too much of an ego bashing for you to get behind a woman, much less Pauline Hanson. It's sad, Clive, that you would give up the best chance to help all Australians make the greatest political change in this nation's history. And all it really shows is just how dedicated to the dark side you probably are. Charlie, Fonna's artificially pushed as the third choice, massively after White Australia Party NSN was shut down. Fon will betray white Australians. Yes, that may well be the case, Charlie. But you've got to give them the chance, because the wave is too big. The support wave is too strong. The Liberal Party recognise that now. So too the Nationals, because they're all starting openly to call out, to follow some of One Nation's policies, to follow what One Nation are saying. Because what One Nation is saying is resonating with the country. Now, yes, they're not saying it the same way as the NSN did, or White Australia, or any of those other parties, but they are ostensibly saying the same thing with the meanings of what they're saying. They're just saying it in a less direct, less openly, maybe critical or divisive manner, but they're still saying it. And that's where the NSN maybe fell over, because like me, we get a bit excited, we throw our words around, and we live with the consequences. But that's not smart politics. Right? That's just not smart full time. I've never claimed to be smart. So if you set yourself up as a target and you refuse to find a different front to fight from, then they are just going to kick in your front door, take your teeth with it, lock you up, make you a dickhead, and expel you into their system, which is essentially what's happened with NSN and the White Australia groups and others, not just those groups. But you're right, those supporters have gone somewhere. Maybe not all of them. Some of them are very dedicated to not going anywhere near political parties, and rightly so. Political parties are outlawed by our constitution. I can't believe we're sitting here having a conversation about political parties when you and I both know they are bloody well illegal. But here we are. We need more people to wake up. We need more people to call out the illegality. But before any of that, we need more people to be able to understand it. That's our problem, folks. All those woke people out there, or unawakened people out there, I beg your pardon, are unaware. And given the information that I've shown you over the last 2 nights about the dumbing down of your emotions to stop you acting out violently or otherwise, what are the odds you reckon we've all been sprayed with that? What are the odds that the normies out there that we are continually shaking our heads over, saying, how can you not see what's going on? What are the odds they have got the full measure of what these evil bastards have been dishing out to us? Or that through their own genealogy, they are susceptible in some way more than you or I might have been to the same bit of shit floating in the air that we breathed in. Because that's what they were targeting. I showed you that in the first video I played tonight. They are able to target specific genes. That means specific types of groups inside a group, like the Russians we were talking about. The Russians went into Ukraine, if you will remember, because there were over 24 labs along the Ukraine-Russia border. These were biological weapons labs. Do you remember us showing you the pictures of those? Do you remember us talking about the fight that was going on underneath a steel production facility in Ukraine, where after the fight had finished, the Russians released the vision of what they found in the holes, in the dump, if you like, in those labs, where they found the paperwork describing exactly the gene manipulation therapy they were using. They were testing it. It was going to be carried by fleas and rats over the border, and it was designed to target one kind of ethnic Russian group alone. One kind. Not all of Russia, not every Russian, just one specific kind of Russian. The kind of Russian that lived along the border with Ukraine and a little deeper in. And you wonder why Vladimir Putin went in there and hasn't stopped. It all links back. It all links back. And we got more to play with, folks. But I would suggest if you're seeing them striping the skies, go inside for a day or 3. Stay out of it. Very good point. Thanks, Jane. I had forgotten this. Casino Royale. Yes, they do show you exactly what they're doing in Casino Royale. In fact, they are worth going back to watch as well, because they explain it all there too. These horrible bastards are going to keep doing it to us, folks, until we figure out a way to stop them, or it's being figured out for us. Is that the 5D game of chess currently being played by Donald Trump against Iran and Israel? Yeah, I said that. Against Iran and Israel. It seems that while we may have dickheads on the road, there might be some very smart people working in the background, engineering certain elements of a war that may not go as expected. Watch this space, folks. It's going to be interesting.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!